speaking, please take it outside the meeting room. This is the Planning, Land Use, and Management Committee. I'm Councilmember Jose Huizar. I've been joined by my colleagues, Englander and Cedillo. And we will start off with item number 5. Is our Director of Planning here? No. So we'll note and file item number 5. Next item is item number 1. We will refer to staff and send to council on consent. I don't think we have any speakers, no? Item number 1 on consent. Item number 2, we have some speakers, so we'll hear from that one. We'll do that now. Item number 2, please.
Yes, Councilman. Item 2 is a motion by Councilman Fuentes and yourself asking City Planning and the Economic Development Department, City Attorney, and CD7 to work on the creation of land use incentives for the development of lifestyle centers.
Okay, these items, I'm looking at the cards now. They may have been misplaced or given the wrong number. I have Ben Resnick and Neil Bauer representing 100 Towers. Did you mean number 4? Mr. Resnick? Neil Bauer? This is agenda item 2 on my card. Did you mean to say item 4? Item 4, correct? Okay, thank you. Just clarifying. So we'll move item number 2 on consent. Item number 3, if you could read that into the minutes, please.
Item 3, Councilman, is an appeal by Robert Silverstein and Daniel Wright. It's an environmental appeal as to the environmental clearance for an 81 dwelling unit project located in CD 11.
Okay, the appellant, Brad Torgan. Welcome. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. My name is Brad Torgan on behalf of the Silverstein Law Firm. Let the record note that correspondence was submitted this morning, and I did provide extra hard copies prior to this meeting. In our earlier correspondence to the CPC, our comments we thought were based kind of on common sense. You know, anytime you put a 6-story building next to a 1-story building, there are going to be significant impacts. In this case, impacts to aesthetics, vibration, traffic, and noise, and we stand by those comments and incorporate them here today. But today I actually want to speak about just 2, noise and traffic and circulation. With respect to noise, the applicant's consultant twice, both in last November and again this July, acknowledged in submittals to the Planning Department that the 75 decibel threshold was going to be potentially exceeded even after mitigation. Certainly next door at the motel, but also implicitly exceeded at the residential properties that are across the alley. However, they went on to say, because all technically feasible mitigation had been adopted, that both the ordinance did not apply and there would be no significant impacts. And we think this is problematic on 2 accounts. First, we do not believe that all technically feasible mitigation has been added to the project with respect to noise. It's our understanding, for example, that LADOT recommended no construction during the morning peak hour. Now, while this is obviously a traffic mitigation measure and was not incorporated into the approvals, I think it can be said that, especially for early morning hours around 7 a.m., that it's also a noise mitigation measure that should be considered. Second, there's confusion over what the threshold is. Just because the ordinance wouldn't apply doesn't mean that you still don't have loud noise. Your general plan considers 75 decibels to be unacceptably high exterior noise rates next to a motel. We think that should be acknowledged, and if indeed you're going to move forward, it needs to move forward with at least a focused DIR and a statement of overriding considerations. With respect to transportation, the reason that, how do I put it? One of the reasons given for no analysis and a conclusion of no significant impact is policies and procedures of LADOT don't require them to analyze unsignalized intersections. Well, that may very well be, but that doesn't mean there's not a potentially significant impact with respect to transportation. Here you have to look at the project site, and there is an aerial photo of the vicinity in Exhibit 1 to the letter that was submitted today. You have all of the project's traffic dumping out onto a 20-foot wide alleyway. One end of that alley dumps out into a street that's signalized at Wilshire and that queues pretty badly during rush hour. The other end of the alley going to Bundy literally goes through a Ralph's supermarket. You have the supermarket entrance on one side of the alley, and you have the parking lot on the other. We think that this is the exception to the rule when it comes to whether or not the city should analyze unsignalized intersections for the reasons that are outlined in all our letters. You've got a substandard alley, you've got queuing, you've got pedestrian safety issues with respect to the supermarket. This is really shoving 10 pounds of potatoes into a 5-pound sack. We would like to see this go back, see it properly analyzed and properly mitigated before going to full council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dale Goldsmith, representing the applicant.
Good afternoon, honorable committee members. My name is Dale Goldsmith. I'm a partner with the law firm of Armbruster Goldsmith and Delvac, representing the applicant, Metropolitan Pacific. As a preliminary matter, I'd like to object to the appellant's lawyer's last-minute submittal of a letter just today. We only were able to receive a copy shortly before the hearing. This is exactly the same tactic that the appellant's lawyer used at the CPC, which wisely rejected the submittal as untimely. The tactic is unfair to the city, the applicant, and to the public, and we respectfully request that you follow the lead of the CPC and reject that letter as untimely. Nonetheless, our letter submitted well over a month ago, dated August 11th, 2014, provides an adequate response to all the issues raised in the appeal and also the letter. And I'd like to summarize the points of that letter. First of all, construction noise impacts will not be significant because the project will comply with the city's noise ordinance. The key issue here is what is the threshold of significance? The threshold is not, as the appellant's lawyer suggests, 75 dBA, but rather whether the project complies with the city's noise ordinance, which was adopted by this city council in an effort to reduce noise impacts during construction. And that ordinance says that you can exceed 75 dBA provided that you implement mitigation measures, feasible mitigation measures, technically feasible mitigation measures. The project does just that. So therefore, even though there may be some occasional periods where the 75 decibel reference level is exceeded because the mitigation measures are being complied with, there is no significant impact. And with respect to the comment made by the appellant's lawyer that the 75 decibels is inappropriate and incompatible, he is referring to the general plan noise compatibility, which uses a different descriptor, CNEL, which is a 24-hour measurement, as opposed to the 1-hour measurement that is used for construction. So it's an apples to orange and an appropriate comparison. In addition, the project will not result in any significant traffic impacts. Our letter includes extensive analysis rebutting the assertions of the appellant, and in that letter and that analysis shows that there will be no impact on signalized intersections, unsignalized intersections, or the alleyway behind the project. And the project traffic engineer has reaffirmed the conclusions of the traffic study, which was reviewed and approved by LADOT, and is set forth in the response attached to our letter. With respect to the condition regarding no early morning deliveries, appellant's lawyer got a little bit wrong. The condition by LADOT as a standard condition says that there shall not be any vehicular truck deliveries during the morning peak hour or the evening peak hour period. It does not prohibit construction during that period. The noise ordinance governs that, and again, the project is fully compliant with the noise ordinance. We do understand that construction can occasionally be noisy and disruptive, and that the appellant is concerned about economic impacts on his hotel. In order to address those, we would like to implement good neighbor measures, and those good neighbor measures will help address those concerns. And I left it at my desk. I'll hand it over to you. And we would respectfully request that you deny the appeal and include these good neighbor measures in the file as a token of the applicant's good faith. I remain available for any questions you may have. Thank you for your consideration.
Ashley Rogers and Aaron Green. One minute for regular speakers other than the applicant and appellant, so 1 minute for each. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Ashley Rogers with Matrix Environmental. We prepared the environmental analysis to support denying the appeal. I just wanted to reiterate some of the noise criteria that Dale Goldsmith mentioned. The general plan addresses CNEL, community noise equivalent level. This is a 24-hour average of a noise level. It's not appropriate for measuring construction levels. Construction levels are typically measured in LEQ. So as Dale mentioned, it's an apples and oranges comparison. We've added additional mitigation to truly try to implement all feasible mitigation to reduce construction noise impacts as much as possible. Most recently, that included adding a 10-foot noise blanket along the property line. That would reduce noise by 10 decibels, which is a very substantial reduction. Again, the LEMC section 112.05 says that the 75 dBA threshold shall not apply where compliance therewith is technically infeasible. We've implemented all feasible mitigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Green, and then Chris Robertson.
My name is Aaron Green. I'm with Hirsch Green Transportation. A couple of responses to some of the comments. Analysis criteria for alleyways is not set by DOT, and those criteria that were provided in the appellant's letter are for residential street segments. And secondly, non-signalized intersections are studied for potential installation of signals in their criteria for studying those types of intersections that are not signalized.
Thank you. Chris Robertson.
Good afternoon, Chris Robertson, Deputy Director of Land Use and Planning for Councilmember Bonin. The project before you today is a 6-story mixed-use project located on Wilshire Boulevard, a major highway with a 100-foot right-of-way. It's located within a C4 zone and proximity to transit. Planning has reviewed it for consistency with the community design overlay to ensure the building and storefronts will enhance the appearance of the street and improve the walkability of the community. In addition to activating the street, the project will provide much-needed housing in addition to affordable units. This is exactly where this type of development and level of density makes sense. By supporting mixed-use, higher-density projects along our major commercial corridors, we can help to incentivize transit use and protect and preserve our lower-density residential districts. Of course, we encourage the applicant and appellant to work together to address project impacts and expect the applicant to take every reasonable effort to lessen the project impacts. However, after consulting with the planning department, we see no reason why the MND should be found insufficient or that the project should be further delayed. Therefore, we respectfully request you to move this forward with a recommendation of denial. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have staff come up, please? There's been some mitigation measures, additions, and modifications submitted by the applicant. Have you had a chance to review these?
Good afternoon, Naomi Guth with the Department of City Planning. Yes, we have looked at those.
our general position is that the M&D as it stands adequately addresses the impacts, and there wasn't a need to add further conditions at this point, or mitigations.
Okay. Mr. Bonan's representative? Chris Roberts? Have you had a chance to review these mitigations? With your office?
No, we have not.
You have not? Okay. There are additional mitigations. Planning staff is saying that what we have is sufficient. Any questions or comments from committee members? No?
I think we've consulted with planning, and they feel that the environmental analysis is adequate as it currently stands. That's my understanding. And I think a concern would be if we're incorporating additional mitigation measures, if they're not required, the MND may need to be circulated, or the entire project may need to be reviewed again. So if these
Okay.
were incorporated, we want to make sure that that was not the case.
Okay. Well, I'm inclined to move this item forward, deny the appeal, and approve the project. We will accept these mitigations as voluntary and, move forward like that. In the event, at any time before this reaches council, if there is some amendments we can make there, the council office deems appropriate along with the planning department, I'm sure the council will be happy to take those up at that time. But at this time, we'll take these up to be voluntary and deny the appeal and approve the project and move to council unless there's an objection. Okay, that'll be the action of this committee. Thank you. Next item.
Next item, Councilman, is item 4. That item involves 5 appeals relative to proposed project in CD5 for the construction of a 37-story office building, and also what's before you is amendments to an existing development agreement.
Thank you. Can we have a brief presentation from staff on this, please?
So there's ways to break the ground without the pile drivers.
I know. Is staff here from the planning department? Oh, yeah. I know. I don't know. Okay. This is awkward. There was a big hoopla about this project, and we show up and nobody shows up to the dance.
Good afternoon, council members. Lisa Weber, Deputy Director with the City Planning Department. City Planner Nick Hendricks is the project manager for this project. He's here. He may have just stepped outside very quickly, but he's probably the best person to deliver the presentation to the committee.
Okay. Do you know if he's going to take long? Should we...
He better not.
Okay. And this is also, I understand Councilmember Koretz was going to be here on this project. I don't know, maybe we could... Mr. Koretz, you wanted to speak on this item? We could probably take you up now while we wait for the planning staff. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues. Like many of my fellow council members, I regularly ask developers to work with local groups early in the planning process. And this helps to get projects designed the right way at the outset. It helps avoid needless appeals and possible litigation. JMB Realty, Century City Realty, has proactively undertaken efforts to address concerns raised by the community and myself, including those of more than 12 community groups and homeowner associations surrounding Century City. The hard work of outreach is undeniable, as the project enjoys the support of nearly every homeowners and community group surrounding them. JMB will provide a private peak hour shuttle service from Century City to the future Expo line, and there's rail station at Westwood Rancho Park. This is a solution-oriented approach which both encourages the use of mass transit and takes real cars off the street. JMB has also agreed to a modification of their development agreement to provide for a total of $1.75 million for regional transportation planning and improvements in the South Robertson and Beverlywood communities. Many of the issues raised by these neighborhoods have existed for years, and this project offers us an opportunity to help solve them. I fully support the proposed modification to the development agreement, and I ask that it be incorporated. The Planning Department, DOT, and the Planning Commission have confirmed that this project will not generate more traffic than the specific plan allows. And JMB and the city followed all the appropriate procedures in the specific plan that have been there for 30 years. I strongly support this project and the substantial benefits that will be provided through the development agreement as negotiated by the Mayor's Office, the Planning Commission, the Planning Department, and myself. I ask that you support the City Planning Commission's recommendation by denying the appeals, approving the development agreement, certifying the ERR, and approving this project. This project is a right project for my district, and I urge that the committee deny the appeals, approve the amendment to the development agreement, and approve the project's land use entitlements. JMB's proposal represents a 45% reduction in mass as compared to their currently approved 1.3 million square foot residential project. The proposal will be the first new LEED Platinum high-rise in Los Angeles, which will put our city on a very short national list of municipalities who have made this strong a commitment to sustainable development. As proposed, this iconic building will include more than 2 acres of substantial open space that the applicant is committed to open to the public, and will provide community benefits that will be designed to improve the quality of life for all Century City residents. Simply put, this project will create thousands of jobs for LA City residents. Also, JMB has established a project labor agreement ensuring that the Century City Center will be built with 100% union labor, putting the hard-working tradesmen and women of Los Angeles back on the job site. This project is at the location of the proposed Metro Purple Line station, and if there's going to be more density in Century City, this is exactly where it should be located. I was glad to see, however, that JMB did not rely on the subway in their traffic study, and their traffic study and mitigations hold their own without taking the subway into consideration. Rather, the project provides substantial mitigation efforts to help alleviate existing west side traffic congestion, which is, as you know, a very significant problem in my district and west. This is in addition to the substantial mitigation and project design features already provided for in the project's EIR. This project will provide substantial benefits in my district, and I ask for your consideration of supporting this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. We have I think 4 appellants, but with 3 different groups here. So the first is Barbara Broidy and John Murdoch. Oh, yes, that's right. The staff is here now. Welcome. You want to give us a brief overview of the project? I'm sorry, for the public speakers, we're going to get a presentation on the project. Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Plum Committee members. My name is Nicholas Hendricks, City Planner, and I was the hearing officer for this case. Also here today are my colleagues from the Department of Transportation who are here to answer any traffic-specific questions that you may have. As the councilman has stated previously, this project is originally approved for 100% residential, which was comprised of 1.3 million square feet the floor area, which would be encompassed in two 47-story towers and one 12-story tower. The modified project, as originally proposed, involved 100% commercial component that was comprised of 731,250 square feet in one 37-story building. Of that square footage, 725,000 square feet of office, 4,100 square feet of retail, and 1,300 square feet of mobility hub was incorporated into the project's design. The Department of City Planning, based upon its review, decided that the alternative, which is Alternative 9, which is the enhanced commercial component, was the better fit for the area because it involved a little bit more enhanced retail components and opened up the pedestrian realm in terms of its design. Some of the appeal points that you'll hear today are with reference to Section 6 of the Century City North Specific Plan, which deals with a dispute of a trip generation factor that's established in Section 2 of the specific plan. The current trip allocation, or terms of the trip factor, for other office commercial for a project such as this is 14 trips per 1,000 square feet. With the alternative trip factor that was proposed, the trip factor goes down to 4.97 trips per 1,000 square feet. What this means is that the number of trips generated by the project are much lower than what was anticipated in the plan. Section 6 was created for this purpose to establish a mechanism so that when one disputes the trip factor of the plan, that they could provide that dispute through a traffic study or a trip generation study. In addition to that, which was submitted to the Department of Transportation, there was also a comprehensive traffic study of the project in general, and there were three different methodologies that were used. One was the empirical rate with an economy adjustment to account for the economic downturn, and the published rates, which are the standard rates that are typically applied to projects. Based on all that evidence, it was determined that the 4.97 trip factor was appropriate for this project. The difference between the size of buildings and the trip factors is at dispute as well. Some individuals are concerned about the size of the project. However, again, it's about the number of trips that a project generates, not necessarily the size. The original approved project is 1.3 million square feet. This project is 729 square feet. So other appeal points which have to deal with the applicability of the multiple approvals ordinance and other issues that are relative to the environmental impact report have been completely vetted in the public process. Our public hearing, the CPC hearing, lasted 7 hours, and we went through extensive responses to all the appellants' concerns. So in conclusion, planning staff recommends that you deny the appeals and sustain the City Planning Commission's determination. Thank you.
Thank you. You might want to stay up there and see if there's any questions or comments as we go through public comment and/or after the public comment. So we'll begin with the appellants. I have 3 groups of appellants. Each group will have 5 minutes each in total for each of the 3 groups. First is Barbara Broidy and John Murdoch. So however you want to split your time, you have 5 minutes total.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is John Murdoch. My client has asked me to go first rather than have her take that onus. We have obviously filed this an appeal. We've been following this all the way through from the zoning administrator. All of our comments are in written form, and we incorporate those as well as all of the comments made by the co-appellants, the other appellants, in their writings as well. The issue that we really take opposition to is this use of Section 6 as being a novel interpretation of the Century City North Specific Plan. The use of that in the way that it's been done is based on the contention that there is a dispute, quote unquote, over how the plan is to be applied and how the trips are to be recounted. There really is no dispute. That's simply a new application for this particular project that is setting a precedent that could then become used by all other properties in Century City. Our concern, and my clients are 3,800 homeowners who live directly west of Century City, between Santa Monica Boulevard and Pico Boulevard and Beverly and Sepulveda. So they will get the brunt of the traffic. Our concern truly is with traffic. And this does not solve the problem. The issue that's been presented to you by the planner merely assumes that the hypothetical trip counts that they've generated are going to be true. Our traffic engineer, Art Casson, and the other traffic engineers on the other appellants don't agree with that. And it's really a misuse of the plan to simply reinterpret it in a new way for this particular project after this property owner has already sold off his trip counts to a number of other sites. This is complicated. I know you probably can't digest it all at once, but we do oppose the use of that new trip count. And we also really emphasize the fact that this was done by a supplemental EIR, which was entirely improper. The prior project, for instance, your planner was comparing 1.93 million versus 725. Well, that's a complete apples to orange comparison. The prior project was a residential tower. And one of the alternatives, which would have allowed the number of trips called for under the Century City specific plan, was a commercial building of 160,000 square feet. That's what would be appropriate under the Century City specific plan. That's how many trips they have for this piece of property. We wouldn't oppose that. In fact, my clients didn't oppose the residential project of 1.93 or whatever million square feet because it's not the size of the project. It's the traffic that matters. And in this case, this traffic is complete flim-flammery, if you ask me. And, we're going to have to work it out eventually, but we would ask that you send this back to the Planning Commission and tell them to do a proper EIR for this project and to follow the mandate of the specific plan, which is to have a separate hearing and determination on whether there is a dispute over the use of the trips that are called for under the plan. Because, as we pointed out in our letter, there was no dispute. The prior owner of this property had filed and recorded a covenant specifying the exact number of trips that were allocable to this particular piece of property. Now, that was simply swept aside, and everyone's ignoring the fact that that was agreed to with the city, and of course my clients didn't object or didn't sue over that. They agreed with it. And now all of a sudden they're coming in with a different interpretation which simply throws the recorded covenant out the window. We think that's entirely improper because they have to claim there's a dispute over the traffic. Well, there was not a dispute at the time that covenant was recorded, and that covenant is binding on successors and assigns. So I'm sorry to bore you with legal issues, but we do incorporate by reference all of these arguments and hope that you would take the time to study this further before you do anything, and then after you study it further, send it back to the Planning Commission to do the right job. Thank you.
Thank you.
In short, this project's office building is no different from any other office building built or to be built in Century City, and articles we've submitted have shown that its impact will be the same as other office buildings. I brought this ice cream scoop to remind this committee and the audience that this property has transferred trips to Sun America and Constellation Place, and as a result now does not have the needed entitlements to build this building. That's called double dipping or triple dipping, if you will. They can buy those trips. They can get them from other properties.
Thank you. Bennett Cohen and Marilyn Cohen.
We've been married a long time, and he said I can go first. My name is Marilyn Cohen, and I'm the Vice President of Westwood South of Santa Monica Homeowners Association. Thank you. Under the long-standing Century City North specific plan, JMB has the right to build a 290,000 square foot office building, but they're trying to build a 731 square foot building. more than 2.5 times what they're allowed to build by subduing the opposition with payoffs and misinformation. They are trying to create entitlements where they do not and should not exist. If this entirely new basis for calculating development rights prevails, a few people will walk away with extraordinary riches while the rest of us are left to cope with the cascading problems of unmitigatable increased traffic. The Century City North Specific Plan provides a development cap designed to limit density and traffic. JMB used up most of its development rights for its other high-rise projects in Century City. Does anyone seriously believe that the other major property owners in Century City will not demand that they will be able to partake of this unexpected windfall? And voila, new development entitlements will be created overnight on a patronizing attempt toward those of us at the receiving end of this troubling result. They are saying that they will make sure that it only pertains to this single piece of property. Everyone has played by the rules for decades. We simply want JMB to play by the same rules to which all developers have had to adhere in Century City. I urge this commission to reject this illegal development grab. Thank you very much.
Bennett Cohen, a resident in West LA. In the findings section of the CPC determination at F5, it states, Section 6 of the Century City North Specific Plan cannot be applied to any other project in Century City. In the next sentence, it states, any future projects seeking an alternative calculation of trip generation factors must apply to the city and satisfy CCNSP's Section 6 procedural requirements. In the next sentence, it states that 2 parcels in Century City can still use the new interpretation of Section 6. I am sure there are attorneys for developers working on these and other inconsistencies and ambiguities to make sure that Section 6 will apply to any parcel in Century City. So I ask this committee, do you want to open this Pandora's box? This is a recipe for disaster. Please send the determination back to the City Planning Commission to remove the current interpretation of Section 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have one card as the rep. I'm sorry, we have Neil Brower and Ben Resnick. We were item number 4. That's right. There's a total of 5 minutes for both.
Thank you. It won't take that long. Neil Brower of Jeffer Mangels, Butler and Mitchell. I also speak for Ben Resnick. We represent the Coalition to Save the West Side, 100 Towers LLC. That's the Twin Towers and the CAA building, and 1875-1925 Century Park East. That's the Watt Towers. As we've detailed in our prior correspondence and testimony and in our appeal materials submitted to the city, our clients oppose the approval sought for the project, and we believe that the approval process for the project, including the EIR, suffers from numerous substantive and procedural flaws that render it legally inadequate. Out of respect for everyone's time, we will stand on our submittals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have one card as a representative for the project. George Milston.
Honorable Council Members, George Milston of Latham Watkins, representing Century City Center. We are pleased to be here today before you with this project, which was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission, recommended by the Planning Department, and concurred in by the Department of Transportation. The proposed project is to be located in the heart of Century City, literally the center of Century City, at Avenue of the Stars and Constellation Boulevard. The corner is also proposed to be the location for the subway portal for the new West Side Subway, the purple extension, which will be coming from downtown through the center of Los Angeles, through Beverly Hills, to Century City and Westwood. This building will be located at that portal. Century City Realty has been the longtime developer and owner of properties in Century City, having developed Sun America Tower and Constellation Place to the premier locations in Century City. The project, as is before you today, will be a LEED Platinum 37-story world-class office building with a variety of amenities, including a transit portal, a mobility hub, retail and pedestrian plazas, and a 2-acre park that will be open to the public as was described by the councilman. When this project started in 2011, Councilman Koretz challenged the project to work with the homeowners in the community and community groups to get support for the project. Sarah Shaw and her team did an incredible job, and I would like to ask the supporters of the project to stand now and be recognized. It has been an incredible level of support. Virtually every homeowner group, with only a couple of exceptions. In fact, 12 groups have now supported this, including Comstock, West of Westwood, Cheviot Hills, and Track 7260. In addition, the project has received the support of the South of Robertson Neighborhood Council. This LEED Platinum building has received unprecedented support from environmental groups, including the Natural Resources Defense Council, the Sierra Club, the Clinton Global Initiative, and other environmental groups. And the project, as the councilman noted, will be built by union labor with a project labor agreement with the Los Angeles Building Trades Council. Also, the project includes a noteworthy green building training program where members of the trades will learn green building techniques to be used throughout the city. The project also has a long-standing relationship with the SEIU on its other buildings and looks forward to working with them and other labor groups on operating this building. We are extremely proud of the support from many members of organized labor and the many community organizations that have stood up to support this project. This project will provide over $350 million investment, private investment in Los Angeles, and will create 6,000 construction and permanent jobs. Moreover, it will integrate the new West Side Subway, will provide a new shuttle service between the Expo line and Century City, and will help us to ensure Century City remains one of the most important economic centers of Los Angeles. Working with Councilman Koretz and the community, we are requesting your approval of changes to the development agreement which have been distributed to the committee, reflecting our commitment to increase funding for community benefits as well as other issues. We obviously disagree with the comments of Mr. Brower, Mr. Murdoch, and Mr. Resnick. We believe that has been addressed by staff in the findings and the legal issues that are before you. We request that you reject the appeals and approve the project, approve the change to the development agreement as requested by the councilman of the community, and approve the EIR. With that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have after the conclusion of public testimony. Thank you very much, honorable council members.
Thank you. We have a number of cards that are here in support of the project. Each speaker has 1 minute, but if you feel for the, if something has already been raised, don't feel free compelled to continue to raise that same issue, but if you want to be mindful of your comments, we would all greatly appreciate that. The first two speakers are Leslie Gersekoff and Michael Eveloch. Ma'am, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line from like right there to right there.
Not with my hips and knees. Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Gersekoff. I'm the Executive Director of the Jewish Labor Committee, Western Region. We have worked with CLU LA on this project, the Century City Center, for quite a while. I've been to many meetings, and I'm here to give our support for the project and to hope that you will move it forward. The key word that I would like to leave you with is integrity. We have honored Judd Malkin of JMB because of the integrity with which he's worked with labor. I believe that that same integrity has gone into working with the communities, and I believe that in approving this project, you will give Los Angeles and Century City not only a good project with good jobs, but you will also return some of the integrity that's been missing from development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Eveloff. I live in the neighborhood directly adjacent to Century City. I am president of the Friends of West Los Angeles, and for over 10 years I served as president of the Track 7260 Homeowners Association. I live about 2 blocks from the project. This project represents a textbook case of a community-centric developer working with virtually every homeowner association to arrive at a project that will be beneficial for the community and beneficial for the developer. This kind of teamwork between a developer and a community is how we build a city which is both business and resident friendly. I was surprised to figure prominently in one of the appeals from Save the West Side. One of the appellants went as far to say as my comments were proof that the EIR was misleading, as I was so clearly wrong. Either they don't get it, or they don't want you to get it. I have presented you with a brief rebuttal of their arguments. I ask you to approve the project, approve the proposed trip rate, and perhaps most importantly, approve of the way that JMB and the community work together for the greater benefit of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Will Wright, John Rickman.
Good afternoon. Will Wright. I'm here to speak as a car-free Angelino to remind everyone in the room that buildings do not cause traffic. People cause traffic. Cars cause traffic. This is a well-designed building that will improve Los Angeles. It will propel us into the future with a more sustainable land use approach. This building represents a commitment to investing in the future of Los Angeles. And opposing this building represents fear that is misappropriated, because buildings do not cause traffic. And as soon as we can get our laws to reflect that, and as soon as we can get our level of service understandings in the VMT reworked, I think everyone will be much more clear with that. So thank you for your support of this wonderful project. Thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Jan Reichman, president of Comstock Hills Homeowners Association. We're the residential neighborhood just north of Century City, and what happens in Century City uniquely affects us. We support Century City Center because it will be a model of sustainable development. We believe JMB can be trusted to deliver on what they promise. They spent many hours reviewing their project with our board and answering our concerns about the project. We liked what we heard. We look forward to plans for the subway station to be located at Century City Center's front door. Not only is it good for our neighborhood, but it will finally serve the tens of thousands of employees trying to get to work. It is a win-win for all of the community. It deserves your support. Thank you.
Carol Spencer, Mike Eveloff. There was already a Mike Metcalf.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Carol Spencer. I've lived in Comstock Hills, just north of Century City, for 50 years. I am very much in agreement with the design of the project that reflects the need for pedestrian safety, comfort, and the needs for green spaces and transportation innovation. This design is a model for all new buildings, and one day in the future, the West Side Subway will have a station at Century City Center's front door. The combined transportation innovations of the project and the subway will make the difference that will satisfy everyone's fears. I hope you will approve Century City Center today. Thank you very much.
Mike Metcalf, Francisca Biel, and Ron Miller.
Good afternoon, honorable committee members. My name is Mike Metcalf. I'm a local resident. I've lived in Westwood for 46 years. I'm past president of the Westwood Homeowners Association, also an urban planner, an architect, and urban designer. I've worked for a number of public agencies in the region. I've been an active participant in community affairs for a long time. I'm here to support the Century City project for JMB. It is a model of excellence and smart growth and good development. It actually demonstrates the implementation of Assembly Bill 32 and Senate Bill 375. It will be a remarkable and most appropriate land use intensification within the walkable radius of a major transportation center, the subway station site. It's one of the most thoughtfully designed projects ever proposed. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Francisca Beal, Ron Miller.
Good afternoon. My name is Francisca Beal, and I serve on the board of California Country Club Homeowner Association and on the West Side Neighborhood Council. I serve on these boards because I'm concerned about the quality of life in our neighborhood, and I want to be sure that our concerns are recognized. My neighborhood is just south of Century City, and we are very well aware of the development projects there. I'm here to support Century City Center because it's a great project that will be an asset to the community. GMB has gone to great lengths to design a project that is sustainable, beautiful, and responsive to concerns of neighbors. They are active participants in our community and have earned the support of nearly every resident association because of their willingness to listen and respond. This project should be a model for future development, and it deserves your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Miller, Dominique Smith.
Good afternoon, Councilman. I'm Ron Miller, Executive Secretary of the LA Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council. We represent 140,000 skilled men and women within 48 local unions across 14 trades. And many of them are here today if I get them to stand up. We're here today to strongly support the JMB Century City Center project. It will complete Century City and bring it into the future. We're at a pivotal place right now when it comes to driving the development of LA City. After a devastating recession, we're seeing activity through the city. I want to remind you, JMB has been developing this project since the depths of the Great Recession. When the banks stopped lending and our jobs were being killed by the tens of thousands, JMB stayed the course. They were persistent and committed. When the city of Los Angeles said, this is what the community needs and this is what the city needs for you to be able to build, JMB was there. They answered every request the city made. We ask you to support this project and let's put some people to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Dominique Smith, Susan Loranger.
I don't know where Dominique is, so I'll start. It's Susan
Go right
Loranger.
ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I live in Park Place in Century City, which is just a stone's throw from the proposed project. But I'm also a West Side commercial real estate broker for 25 years, and I'd like to give you a slightly different perspective on why Century City Center should be approved. As you know, Century City is West Side's premier office address. We are fortunate to have companies locate here and bring high-quality, high-paying jobs with them. Century City anchors our local economy and generates revenue for employees, for the city, and for thousands of local businesses. In order to maintain its preeminence, Century City needs continual investment to stay at the forefront of business achievement. Century City Center provides exactly the kind of investment which helps our local economy to continue to thrive.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to start calling 4 people up at a time. Jean Hale, Hillary Norton, Lee Wallach, and Rani Nanula Woods.
Good afternoon. My name is Gene Hale. I'm chairman of the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce. We're here to support this project as we have in the past. We think that it will bring significant economic stimulation to the region. We believe that it will create substantial opportunities for minority businesses, veterans, and workers. We fully support this project, and we ask for your support as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Hillary Norton, and I'm the Executive Director of FAST, Fixing Angelenos Stuck in Traffic. It is a pleasure to speak before 3 council members who have been committed to changing the economy of this city. And Century City Center is exactly the kind of project you want to be part of the new economy. Not only is it going to create jobs building this project, but it is going to be creating the kind of high-powered jobs that are going to rebuild Los Angeles. And in doing so, it's going to encourage people to take transit, not take cars. The people of the generation that are going to be working in this building are going to be taking transit, they're going to be taking shuttles, they're going to be using the mobility hubs that FAST has supported, car share, bike parking. And JMB has put its money where its mouth is by helping Century City do this already. They are already on the vanguard. And not only that, they have committed to daily trip counts to prove that their heart is in the right place. Far from being of questionable integrity, it takes a significant integrity to commit to everyday trip counts because they know they're doing the right thing. And that's why this project should be approved. Thank you very much.
Council members, thank you. Lee Wallach. I wear three hats here, no pun intended. But first off, as a resident, I'm one of the closest residents living next to this project. And when I moved in, I actually noticed Century City and figured I would probably see some growth there. And quite happy to see that happen. Also as an environmentalist, as you guys know, president of Faith to Green on the Sustainable Business Council board, and then finally as the Motor Association board president. We've looked at this project up and down. We've worked with the developer. This developer has been proactive and has worked with us extensively. Motor gets significant traffic going to Century City. This developer has not waited till the project pops up. This developer is helping us with current problems today. They're helping us now. This progressive approach is what's needed. This is what our community needs. Our organization and almost every other association in the area urges you to support this project. Please listen to your staff. The interpretation of Section 6 and the trip count is appropriate, and so is this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ronnie Narula Woods, and I am the Deputy Political Director at the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor. I am the newest addition to the Labor Fed, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I look forward to working with the council and staff on creating good jobs here in Los Angeles. I have the honor of standing before you to represent Maria Elena Durazo and hundreds of thousands of breadwinners and their families who support this project. This project takes a big step in the right direction by putting people back to work in good middle-class jobs. It will create 6,000 new jobs during the construction and operations of the project and pump $350 million in private investment into our city, as well as create $4.3 million in new annual revenues. This project has broad support from organized labor and is the only shovel-ready major project in Los Angeles. We ask you that you join workers, community, clergy, and business in moving this forward today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike McCosker, Antonio Sanchez, Evangelina Monterosa, Brady Roberts.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members. Try to take less than a minute. I've listened with Mike McCosker, United Firefighters, representing firefighters and paramedics of the city. I listened with interest to the comments so far. Heard your rather erudite and soft-spoken colleague, Koretz, I think lay out an ironclad argument for going forward. And he summarized, in his summary, he touched on what is the theme for us as firefighters, and it's probably best expressed by Brother Miller here, jobs. We strongly urge you to move forward as expeditiously as possible with this very important project for one reason and one reason only. It provides jobs for the people of this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Antonio Sanchez. I'm with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 11, and with me stand some of my brothers from the local. We represent about 12,000 members in LA County, and we're here to ask for your continued support. This is good development in the exact neighborhood that it should be at. It's going to be one of the greenest buildings west of the Mississippi. It's transit-oriented development. It's going to put cranes in the skies and people to work. So we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Evangelina Monterosa and Bertie Roberts. Out here. Okay. David Mattis, Jonathan Klein, Leslie Gersekoff, which I think spoke already, Lord Percruel.
Good afternoon. My name is David Mattis. I'm a rabbi living and working in the Pico Robertson neighborhood. I just wanted to reflect a residential perspective that I support the amendments, I support Century City Center, and thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rabbi Jonathan Klein, and I speak here also for the well-being of 6,000 people who will have opportunities to work in Los Angeles as a result of this project moving forward. 6,000 people will celebrate soon enough knowing that they're going to have not just jobs, but good jobs, a way to provide for their families. Councilmember Paul Corrett spoke eloquently in favor of this. Sierra Club and NRDC support this. Labor and even a lot of businesses support this. The Planning Commission supported it unanimously, and hundreds of faith leaders, for which I work as the Executive Director of Clue LA, support this project because we know that this is good for working people in this city and ensuring that everyone has a fair chance to a good life and good jobs. And I personally support it as a resident of South Robertson myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lord Percruel. Piedmont Brown, Gary Cook, Kevin Bass, and Delfino de la Cruz.
Good afternoon. I'm Piedmont Brown, President of the Ironworkers, Local 433. Right now we're on the job on some of the major buildings in Los Angeles, such as the Wilshire Grand and the Federal Downtown Courthouse. This is the time to build. After years of great recession, Los Angeles is on the map as one of the major centers for the buildings of the future. And when it comes to the building them, the ironworkers and the building trades are the experts. We have supported the JMB Century Center project since it started. It's another project that will become a Los Angeles landmark. I ask you, the members of the Plum Committee, to move this project forward to full City Council approval. It will create thousands of jobs and keep Century City as one of the major commercial areas of Los Angeles. It's a step toward the future for Los Angeles, and that's something we can all support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Gary Cook, UA Plumbers Local 78. We stand in support of this project as being smart, intelligent, and moving in progress that is in a project that is intelligent and shovel ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Kevin Bass with Painters and Allied Trades, representing about 11,000 members in Southern California. And we strongly urge you to move this project forward. This is a precedent-setting project, being the first Platinum LEEDs project to be built here. And we also have to look at the 6,000 families that will be benefiting from this by putting their family members back to work. I empathize with the people that don't want building in their area, but this is how we have to move things forward, and this is how the country has always moved things forward. Myself, I live about three to four blocks from Dodger Stadium, and they're still speaking of building the football stadium there. If they do, I'll be one of the first people to come out and support it because it's for the greater good and not just the traffic that it's going to bring to my area. So again, could we please move this forward? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Delfino de la Cruz, and I'm here on behalf of Sergio Rascon, Business Manager of Labor's Local 300, and over 500 members that are currently out of work and are out of work list. We are here in support of this project because it is the only project that is ready to start and that will create hundreds of good-paying, career-building jobs. Our members, as well as many members from our sister unions that are here today with us, need these jobs now, not later. That is why we are urging you to vote in favor of moving this project forward. Without change, there is no change. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Zavala, Greg Basham, Christopher Lenar, and Jorge Flores.
Good afternoon. My name's Greg Basham, and I'm here in the hopes of getting you guys to move on this project. It's long overdue. It's needed tremendously by the building trades, which we're a part of. I'm the Teamsters. And actually, it's a PLA that was signed many years ago already, and as you guys know, PLAs do work in the city of Los Angeles, so let's see this one work too. And this is Ed Rendon from Joint Council.
In the interest of time, thank you for hearing us today. We stand with our brothers and sisters, Ed Rendon, Teamsters Joint Council 42, and ask to move this JMB program to the City Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Christopher Lamar speaking on behalf of the LA County Business Federation, representing 125 top business groups and 268,000 businesses across our region. On behalf of the board, I'm here to express strong support for LA's first LEED Platinum high-rise building, the Century City project, which represents $350 million of investment in LA's economy and the creation of 6,000 jobs. These jobs, of course, are not just the 6,000 jobs, but the tax revenue that will be generated here and after. This project will set a new standard for environmentally sensitive planning while also responding to the demand for Class A office space in the area, providing a balance in the many residential projects recently approved in the community. I'd like to make 3 concise statements. First, this project will be a flagship, attracting new business, maintaining Century City's reputation as a first-class business center. Second, the project will, of course, create jobs, but as these workers are working on the construction, local businesses will benefit from the additional revenue. And third, the idea of the mobility hub and the attention to innovative transportation solutions. In short, BizFed sees the Century City project as a win for the economy, environment, and community, and we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jorge Flores. I'm a resident of Beverlywood, and I'm the co-president of the Friends of Canfield Group, the nonprofit parent organization at Canfield Elementary School. I just want to applaud the developer for their outreach and their willingness to work with the community and support this very forward-thinking project. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug Fitzsimmons, and last is Sean Bayless from Council District 5.
Thank you, council members. My name is Doug Fitzsimmons. I'm president of the South Robertson Neighborhoods Council, and I'm here in that official capacity. As you may know, our neighborhood council was long opposed to this project based on the projected impact to the traffic situation in our neighborhood, as well as some concerns about future development using the same Section 6 arguments. We have worked very hard with all parties, the council office, JMB Realty, and in fact Beverlywood Homes Association, to try to mitigate some of those things. And we have in fact an agreement that will provide mitigation funds for our neighborhood. So based on that, with that change, the South Robertson Neighborhoods Council supports this project. We still have concerns about Section 6, but we're confident that we can get through those. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sean Bayless, Director of Planning and Land Use for Councilmember Paul Koretz. I'll make this very brief, as the council member has already spoken. One, we just want to thank the developer JMB for reaching out to the community and doing it over a number of years and meeting exhaustively and trying to address everyone's concerns. We also want to make sure that we support Amendment Section 5A of the Development Agreement, and I'm here to answer any questions should you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments? Okay. One question is the staff, was a supplemental EIR the correct way to go about this procedurally? How would you defend that?
Nick Hendricks, City Planning. Yes, the subsequent EIR is the appropriate mechanism. The EIR is connected to a previously approved project for which an EIR was prepared and certified. There was a misstatement of the type of EIR previously, which they called a supplement. This is a subsequent. There's a big difference between a supplement and a subsequent EIR. This was a subsequent EIR. So yes, procedurally, this is the correct document to use under the CEQA statute.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much. And having viewed this project for some time, I'm certainly supportive of this project, not only is it achieving the LEED Platinum, but also it's providing much-needed jobs. There are some community benefits, I think, that can go towards transportation planning and other planning in the region that is needed. But ultimately, this is the type of investment we need in the city at this time, if all other things adhere. So I'm supportive of this and ready to move forward this. Any other questions or comments? No. Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Cedillo, so the language for the motion will be that we deny appeals and approve the project, approve the EIR, approve the CPC report on the project, adopt the proposed findings, approve the modifications requested by Council District 5, which were passed out here, request the city attorney to prepare the development agreement ordinance. And if I could ask the applicant to come up, please. I have a question of you. Is it okay if we, are you okay with extension of appeals? Because we actually may come back with the development agreement ordinance and may need another hearing. So you would be okay with the extension of appeals?
Honorable Councilmember George Nelson, we will provide a letter agreeing to the extension to provide for the continued consideration of the matter.
Okay, sounds good. So
excuse me, Councilman, this is Charlie Roush from Planning Department staff. One change in nomenclature, if you could just say certify the EIR.
Okay, we will certify the EIR. We don't approve it, we certify it. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I also want to make sure that your motion includes that you would be adopting the statement of overriding considerations. I didn't hear that in your motion. I just want to make sure that it's present in your motion.
Yes, it is now. That is, adopt the proposed findings and the statement of overriding considerations, right? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. So with that, seeing no objection, this is approved. Any other items on the agenda? No other items on the agenda. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.